What is up, guys? How are we all doing? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're all doing well. Back at it again with a little bit more of Fernbus. We've got some, I would say, a little bit of news. Not a lot of news, but there is a little bit of news to cover. But yeah, we're in the Neoplan Skyliner this evening in the snow. Thought I'd change it up a bit. Yeah, and to be fair, it doesn't look too bad in the snow. Quite like it actually, but like I say, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome in. Without further ado, let's start this up, shall we? How's it going, Patrick? Welcome in, man. Hope you're doing well. Right, let's open up the luggage. See, look, already in. Amazing. Right, let's check these in.
Ist das gültig? Vielen Dank.
And then we'll get the journey on the road, shall we?
Salut, Sie wollen bestimmt mein Ticket sehen. Sehr freundlich. Hi, auf geht's.
Yeah, let's get it.
Hi, ich hoffe, ich bin sehr freundlich.
Guten Tag. Ciao.
Try and get him in as quickly as I can.
Danke sehr.
Moin, ich hoffe, ich bin hier. Ciao.
Hallo, hier ist mein Ticket. Vielen Dank.
Grüezi, ist das Danke.
I think that's everybody. Yeah, make sure I close these. Right, let's go, shall we? Alright, let's hop aboard. Wheel is working fine. Indicators are working. I've had it many times before where those things haven't worked, which is not good, but let's get it. So yeah, like I said, there is a little bit of news. Of course, the Scania Touring will be added to the game as a future DLC, which, to be fair, it doesn't look too bad. You know, Scania always do an amazing job, so you know, quite nice trucks and buses. So that'll be something quite nice to look forward to. They have said as well that there is a patch in the works, as we're all aware. I'm assuming it's this week, next week at the latest, if they obviously run into any more problems. But they haven't specifically said what they're planning on fixing. I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh well, they're just going to be fixing the obvious problems, which you know, people have been reporting, and that would be fantastic if they are doing that. They did mention that they have fixed an issue with people falling through the map in Luxembourg, I think they said it was. People not being able to start there at the stops, so that'll be that's apparently fixed. But for anything else, they haven't really been given you know, too much information. How do you get the snow in Fernbus? So you got to select the appropriate month, and then it'll give you the option to change the weather to snow, if that's something that you're looking for. But as they said as well, I'm going to get the nitty-gritty stuff out of the way with first. So of course, according to Fabian, quite a lot of people were keen on the idea of being a beta tester, and before obviously the game being released. And of course, a lot of people now have said that they haven't got the time, or they just want to play the game and, you know, and not have to worry about that sort of stuff. So they have mentioned that there will be second rounds now for anybody that wants to become a beta tester. He said keep an eye out on their channel some point next week. He'll be giving out the details for that. So if you are interested in becoming a beta tester for this game, meaning that you'll obviously get access to the patches, the updates before they're released. So they'll be in like a test phase. So you'll get the opportunity to obviously test that before it's released, and obviously report any bugs and things, you know, just a typical thing that a beta tester would do. So like I say, if you are interested in that, then of course look out for his video next week, and follow the information that's given. I'm fairly confident it'll probably be the same as what they did last time, to be honest, but you know, the option is there. The option is there. But yeah, we're in the Neoplan Skyliner. I did actually quite like this from Tourist Bus. In fact, it was one of my favourite coaches to drive, just for the interior mainly. But you know, we've all got our preferences. But welcome in, guys. Hope you're doing well. But we will go over a few things. So of course, a lot of, I think the more predominant things that we want to see is the force feedback for the wheels, and of course if they can iron out some of the smaller bugs as well, because let's face it, the smaller bugs collectively ruin the experience, you know, and many people might agree, many people might disagree, you know, but these things definitely need to be improved upon, especially before releasing new DLC. That's one thing that really sort of rubbed me up the wrong way when it came to Tourist Bus. It's the fact that they were eager to release DLC before fixing things. So hopefully that method of how they do it isn't repeated. I can barely see out of that. Oh, there is a car there. Never mind. Should have just stayed in that lane, really. But nice one, Patrick. Yeah, do it tomorrow, man. Have a play around. This game looks fantastic in the wet, in the rain, and in the snow. So I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun with it. But overall, I think that the console release has got a nice positive reception. I think a lot of people, they've kind of noticed the more predominant issues, but have been able to somewhat look past it due to obviously really liking the game, anticipating the game coming. It's been a long while, and you know, if you got to wait a little while longer to have little bugs fixed, then it's no hardship, is it? You know, as they say, every game has its hiccups at some point, you know, especially early days anyway. But let's just hope that they manage to iron out these problems, because of course there is a little bit of a list which has been brewing up, and I think a lot of people are already aware of a lot of things which are wrong with it. You know, not just from, you know, AI randomly just at a standstill on the autobahn, the motorways, but at the same time, you know, frame rate drops. I've seen some pretty bad footage actually of frame rate drops. Not so much on the Xbox, well, the Xbox Series S and the PS5 I've seen it on, not too much about the Series X, but you know, there's definitely like I said in my last stream, a bit of a 50-50 thing. You know, some people are experiencing things, some people aren't. It's just the way it is. As for information, you know, like I say to you guys, I'll try and keep you up to date as much as I possibly can. You know, sometimes it's easier said than done. You know, like I say, I will try and get it out to you as quickly as I can. But overall, I'm quite happy that people are enjoying it. You know, at the end of the day, I'm sure that the updates will come in due time. You know, we haven't got long to wait now. Let's just hope that you know, let's just hope that they manage to address these problems that we've been facing. as for wheel support, I haven't really heard anything much on that, to be honest. But at least it's there, I guess. At least it's there. I know that it was pretty, you know, pretty bad, especially for those that have got quite expensive wheels. You know, not being able to kind of use them to their full potential, which kind of sucks. You know, but how's it going, G Song man? Welcome in. Hope you're doing good. Just out for a nice little drive in the snow. But you guys will have to let me know, like, because there are a few things, like, a lot of people have been requesting, like, the parking brake to be assigned to, like, the D-pad or something, just for a matter of convenience. You know, that would be pretty good. There's a few other bits and pieces as well, but yeah, there is literally a split divide, though, as you know, there always is when it comes to games. But with the smaller sort of indie games, I mean, indie developers and things like that, I mean, as we're playing Fernbus, we'll use Tourist Bus and Fernbus as a perfect example. You know, split down the middle 50-50 of, and I mean, I've seen some really sort of overcritical comments on this game, and I've also seen some really sort of harsh responses as well. I've noticed that Fabian still hasn't kind of, you know, changed his way about how he approaches people in the comment sections, and that's one thing that does gripe me a little bit, you know, is that if somebody asks, we had this with Tourist Bus, somebody asks a genuine question, it generally gets ignored, or you somewhat get a shoddy response, or no response at all. But those that leave negative feedback, they all get commented back, they all get responses back. So it's a shame that that's the way. It would be nice if they actually did just, you know, try being polite for once. Doesn't come across very professional, in my opinion. But of course, that's just my opinion. But what do you guys think about it in the snow? I think it's absolutely fantastic in the snow. And the rain as well, like I said before. It's pretty cool. But for like I said on my last stream, for a console port, and for the way that the busing sim sort of market is for console at the moment, it's not a bad entry. It really isn't. You know, I mean, it has its flaws, it has its quirks, and there are generally some quite dramatic things that are wrong with it. There's no denying that. But there's no denying in the fact that you can't have a lot of fun with it at the same time. Ooh. So, there isn't really much news to go on in terms of news, G-Song. Other than the fact, of course, they have introduced the Scania Touring, which is coming at some point as part of a future DLC. But I would imagine the patch that's supposed to be upcoming, and I say this with, I don't know really how to take it, to be honest, because I mean, from the patches that we used to get for Tourist Bus, there was no patch notes, and you generally had to play it to find out what was wrong with it, or what had been fixed. So, you know, I mean, I can remember, like, loads and loads of people, each update that happened on Tourist Bus, they were hoping that the luggage was fixed, and it never was. So it's things like that. You know, you've got to test it to see what's been fixed and what hasn't, due to the nature of how things are dealt with. But you know, I'm hoping that a lot of the predominant issues which people have been facing, like falling through the map and things like that, and trophies not working, achievements not working, you know, GPS problems. It's just the same old stuff, really. There's no other way to really put it. But you know, it should be at some point this week, next week at the latest, and I say that because things always can change, things always can go wrong, so it's one of those things. But those that are late to the stream, you know, if you do want to become a beta tester, like I say, they're doing second rounds again. You know, Fabian is uploading a video at some point next week, apparently, with more information on that. So if you are somebody that missed out on the opportunity of being a beta tester and you want to give it a shot, or you want to have a chance at it, you know, then look out for his next video and just follow the information from there. It's the only real thing I can really say about it, to be honest. Other than that, you know, you wait for the update to come, and hopefully, you know, like I said, that the problems which people have addressed, or you know, to him, hopefully it's all been passed on, and in this next patch we don't have to go through that grovelling experience that all of us tourist bus players had to experience, you know, waiting for things to be implemented or fixed. And you know, I don't want to be negative about it, but the way that things were conducted through Tourist Bus and the state that that game is in at the moment, where it needs a lot of attention, I'm just hoping that this one doesn't follow a very similar pattern, but we shall see. You know, only time will tell. I'm confused, G-Song. You think this game is done? Fernbus is way better. This is Fernbus. But yeah, this Neoplan Skyliner is actually quite nice. You know, I enjoy driving it in Tourist Bus as well. Sometimes I do miss the you know, the island vibe of Tourist Bus. I was, because I did put out a poll to see what people wanted to see, you know, being played tonight on the stream, and I was going to include Tourist Bus, but the problem is that there's been zero information regarding what's actually supposed to be going on with that game, you know, other than what we already know. Okay, you're probably right, Ji-Sung. You're probably right. It is probably done. You know, my biggest fear was the fact that this game would somewhat overshadow Tourist Bus. You know, because it's the more it was the more anticipated one out of the two. You know, it's the newer one out of the two in terms of porting. So, you know, it is a shame, but that game is in desperate need of some attention at the moment. At least to the console side of it. The PC versions of these games, they don't actually run that badly. You know, there are a few areas, of course, that make it does make me laugh, because it's, you know, I think 2018 was the last time that the PC version of this was updated. So it just really goes to show that nothing has really sort of changed in those years. You know, I hope that they do fix it as best as they can, though. Love it. Right, let's open up these luggage compartments.
Hi, ich hoffe, ich bin hier richtig. Auf geht's.
But what makes me
Hallo, fahren Sie in meine... Sehr freundlich.
what makes me curious
Bitte sehr. Danke.
is what gets
Guten Tag.
lost
Das Ticket. Wird sehr
in
freundlich.
the
Grüezi.
Hier ist mein
process
Ticket. Danke.
when it comes to porting games
Moin.
over. Now I
Ich
know
hoffe,
that
ich bin hier richtig. Ciao.
Grüezi.
if
Bin ich
it
hier richtig?
was, oh, if it
Wohin
was
fahren Sie nochmal?
Mahlzeit.
Ich bin hier ja total falsch.
PS4 and Xbox One, then I would understand it to a degree because of like memory and all that sort of stuff. You probably couldn't do an awful lot with it, and that's fair. But as we're talking like Xbox Series X's and PS5s, they are more than capable of running these games even to a PC standard. So I don't understand where all this information, all this data, it gets lost in almost in translation when they port these games over, because the things which are wrong with the console versions at the moment don't exist really to on the PC, and I'm talking things like menus not working and falling through the map and all that kind of stuff. So it makes you wonder where that sort of what's actually gone on through that console port, because it's not the first time they've done this, and it really worries me that it might not be the last either. I think you know what I'm saying by that. I mean, like I say, the biggest critique for me, is the fact that before anything is remotely fixed, it's straight onto the topic of DLC. They did the same thing with Tourist Bus. Nothing was fixed, but yet you were paying £20, €25, whatever it was, for DLCs, and they even spoke about doing somewhat of a cross package with this, to see whether it was like if you buy it the first time, it's a one and done deal for Tourist Bus and Fernbus, but that didn't happen, obviously. By any stretch of the imagination, of course, Fernbus is the better one out of the two, for a multitude of reasons. But if you've played Tourist Bus, feel about it to some degree. We all hope that that this game has a great future and that they implement updates swiftly. Obviously within reason, considering they've got lots of hoops to jump through before it be published. It needs to be approved and all that sort of stuff. We're all aware of that, but I hope they keep us informed. I think that's a big factor for me. They keep us informed, and then based on that information I can kind of give my verdict. Other than the fact that it's a busing game, I'm still very skeptical of the publisher. I'm still very weary of the developer as well. But they seem to be communicating. So who knows? Who knows what the future may hold for this game? But there are, of course, the issues which are already apparent to us all. I mean, we don't need to keep going over and over and over again on the topic, but it does make you wonder whether they had enough time, maybe, or whether they needed a little bit extra time to finish these things. Probably. I mean, the more time they have on it, the better. I mean, let's say you imagine if they waited an extra, maybe 6 to 8 months before releasing it for console, just to get the final things addressed. It seems that they've ported over, in the same sort of time frame, the same sort of manner as what they did with Tourist Bus, and are facing similar problems. But if they manage to sort that out, you know, and address those issues quickly, then there's going to be no problems, is there? You know, there's no quarrel with it. But I've seen quite a few people racking up a few hours on this game as well, doing some insane hourly drives as well. You know, it's mad. You know, people are taking full advantage of it. Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. There are a few things which the game does well. But at the same time, you know, like I've always said, it's your expectations. You can get lost in it if you really want to. You know, for me, like the bus is, in my opinion, like, it blows Fernbus and Tourist Bus out of the water completely. And of course, with the bus obviously having console potential as well later on, you know, it's nice to see. But for me, that game is definitely the better one out of the three that I've had the pleasure of playing from TML. But it's all good. I just wish that they would sort out the frame rate problem. It seems to be a common trend, you know. It seems to be a common trend. Frame rate drops and stuff. But I think the idea of being a beta tester would be pretty cool. I mean, I would go in for it, but I don't think I'd be a beta tester for very long. I think I'd be too critical. I think people would, I think we'd end up falling out, you know. But I appreciate you all coming in. What are we all up to? Beautiful. Oh, that's it. Just pull up in front of me. I mean, what was the point in that? Seriously. I don't understand how this coach is so fast. They seem to be so much faster than every other, like. I mean, surely. I'm probably not the only one that's noticed that. Berlin arrival. I can do what? Sorry, G-Song. I wonder what I'm like for fuel. I really wish that they would work on the textures of the roads as well. Like even like the green grid thing there, even though it's not overly important, it's floating. Yeah, yeah, you can honk. Yeah, yeah. Like, going over the settings, it's such a shame that you can't open the window. But you can click on all of this. Destination display. I'm surprised that the lighter's actually in the bus, to be honest. What have we got here? Warning lights. It's pretty cool. Radio as well. Apparently the radio doesn't work in the console version for licensing reasons. Not available in this mode. Yeah, that's okay. A lot of stuff here. A lot of buttons to fiddle around with and play. I always notice that these games are far better with mouse and keyboard, you know, or at least having a mouse or something like that, because sometimes there's just not enough button assignments. But I guess for the console version you haven't really got to worry about that too much. But I think that in some of the buses you got like the blinds which you can button bind to pull down and stuff. Right, 145 kilometers to go. Not a bad little route this. It's nice that you're able to actually do that, you know, make your own routes, design your own routes and things like that. Unlocking it, I mean, I haven't really spent an awful lot of time playing this game, to be completely honest. You know, I mean, I've done enough to be able to kind of get the sort of general sense of what it's about and what you have to do and the different services that you can do and stuff like that. But generally, over a period of time, I'm not one to be able to kind of sit here for hours, you know. I mean, I'll do an hour maximum with this game and then I'll have to switch it off, because I personally, and then this is just my take on it, I find the roads and the sort of environment, the atmosphere, doesn't feel very lived in at all. And driving the same straight roads, looking at the same green grid fencing, you know what I mean, it can get a little bit stale. I know that there are new DLCs and maps to play, but essentially, you know, it's doing the same thing. So for me, it's a small dose thing, you know, just like Tourist Bus. I like having a little drive around, messing around with the weather, you know, driving a few different buses, a few different coaches, stuff like that. And I get my enjoyment out of it that way. How you get your enjoyment out of it is obviously completely up to you. But for me, that is how I like to play it. But yeah, the last video that I did, last stream that I did, Euro Truck, but obviously with the bus with the Fernbus livery on it. You know, that was a spur of the moment thing. That was just a little bit of a joke. I wasn't really expecting so many people to fall for it, to be completely honest. But you know, it was a laugh. You know, another good company. You know, SCS developer. They would be fantastic if they was to make a busing game. Crazy. But as we're talking about that topic, you know, you can only imagine the potential that this game and Tourist Bus would have if they allowed or opened it up to the modding community. You think of what would be achieved. I mean, they would probably completely revolutionize the game. People would be able to, you know, like for the frame rate drops that are happening on consoles at the moment, you know, somebody out there would have made a mod that would help you with that. You know, there's just so many different aspects to modding. It's just a shame that not many games support it. Off we go. But for those of you that do play on console and you use a steering wheel, what's it like not having force feedback? Let me know your thoughts. Does it take away from the experience? Does it just not feel right? I mean, because obviously with Tourist Bus, there were ways to remove the force feedback completely because the force feedback was just far too heavy. I think that is why it's not been implemented in this game, because of all the complaints from Tourist Bus. That would be my, my guess. Oh yeah, G-Song. I've experienced loads of bugs. Absolutely loads of bugs. I mean, frame rate drops. It still happens now. Pop in, pop out. Vehicle in front of me has just disappeared. There are a lot of things that it's easy to kind of sit here and look inside the the coach or the bus or whatever and admire how well they've sort of designed them and everything, and of course the textures on the windows with the rain and all that stuff. But if you look beyond it, like I showed you in in a stream once upon a time, you notice that the wheels are missing on some of the cars. The further they are away, then the windscreen goes. And I'm playing this in epic settings. I'm playing it in the best settings possible for the game, and you just notice that when you kind of zoom in, that car's just disappeared. And the pop in and stuff, it still resides. Evening Rocky, welcome in. I hope you're doing well. So that's what I mean. It's not from the PC side of it. It's still not right, and they've ported it over to a console which is technically less capable in a way, and they wonder why they've got all of these problems, and it's using the same formula and expecting a different result, and unfortunately they just keep running into the same issues over and over and over again. For me, the PC version is optimized terribly, to be honest. And that's not just my opinion, that's opinions of thousands of people, hundreds of people, whatever, on Steam and things like that. The reviews aren't actually that good, believe it or not. But of course, just because people's reviews are, people's reviews aren't good, it doesn't mean to say that the game is all bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, in response to me experiencing bugs, what I do, I give you my honest verdict. I don't try and cough and cover it up, But as for the console side of things, I think the biggest enemy... I think the biggest enemy... I should have looked. The biggest enemy, essentially, is Microsoft and Sony. And, how quickly those updates can be tested and sort of implemented. That's going to be the tricky bit. yeah, there's definitely a few things which need to be resolved. You know, they're definitely doing a better job of communicating this time round, but you know, it is still early doors, so try and treat it as such. And you know, when they do update it and sort of through the life cycle of it, you know, I will do a review. I mean, I've been reluctant to buy the console version just simply down to the fact that I own the PC version. You know, there's not really much point, considering all the information I can just tell you. You know, I don't necessarily have to show you. You know, because there's not really an awful lot to go off of anyway. But you know, when this game does reach a standard that I feel is acceptable to purchase, then that's exactly what I'll do, and then I'll make a review on it based on its current state. You know, no different than what I did with Tourist Bus. Definitely feels a little bit empty, these roads. Not really much going on. But that's okay, because I don't like the AI too much anyway. But the one thing I did notice on the bus is that they do have a pedestrian slider. And you do have pedestrians walking around like they do on Bus Sim 21. And that's a bit strange that they didn't, you know, they didn't add it to this. Considering, like, you know, the new consoles are perfectly capable. Yeah, that is the one thing which I generally I'm not impressed with. Like, if anything I had to say about these games more than anything is how stupid the AI are. Like, they are ridiculously stupid. That is one thing which, if I had to, like, if I was a millionaire and I like this game a lot and I wanted to invest to put something right, the AI would be that. You know, they really need to work on their AI in their games. You know, the bus is the same a little bit, but between Tourist Bus, Fernbus and the gatepost, unfortunately there's a dodgy hinge. And when the big gust of wind comes, it just flaps open and shut when it wants to. And it's not helpful. And it's like these as well. The bus stops, the bus stations. You know, a few AI walking around with a few luggage, you know, a few handheld luggage things, you know, suitcases, bags, all that sort of stuff. Would be nice to see. Bit more lighting as well. You know, sometimes when you come here in the dark or late evenings, you know, you can barely see anything. There's just a few of my critiques, you know, things that could be improved upon. And it's all the same coaches as well in the stations and stuff. Be nice to see, so like, the, you know, the BB40, you know, that would be pretty cool. I love that bus. It's just a shame that the GPS don't work properly. Alright, let's get you all checked on. God, I wish I could type like that. Oh, no, don't mind me.
Fahren Sie in meine Richtung? Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Hallo, Sie wollen bestimmt mein Ticket sehen. Sehr freundlich.
Wow. It reminds me of like Assassin's Creed. Oh dear.
Salü, das Ticket. Bitteschön. Auf
Yeah,
geht's.
sure. Oh, there's only a couple. There she is.
Mahlzeit. Bin ich hier richtig? Danke. Mahlzeit. Bitte, danke.
Grüezi, bitte sehr. Dankeschön.
And one more.
Moin. Ich hoffe, auf geht's.
Let's go. Right, let's close that. Bom, bom, bom. Another thing as well would be really cool if you could look out the window. Like, that is something that really annoys me. Just being able to look out the window, you know, or even open it for that matter, you know. Because where I play Euro Truck, I'm so like, it's a force of habit. I do that all the time. Be nice if they put something in the coffee holder as well. But yeah, you know what I mean. Oh.
Wann kommt der nächste Rastplatz?
Well, I'm just gonna do it here. Of course, that's still a problem on the console as well. So taking the brake thing is still bugged. But I would imagine that's been addressed in this upcoming patch. Do you admit, I miss the days of where you were able to buy a game, you put the disc in, it was the full thing, and you could just sit down and play it. You know, rather than buying a game and then having to wait for you know, wait for it to be updated or wait for the content to be released. Just simpler times, you know. Yeah, definitely. Definitely, G-Song. One thing that Bus Sim 21 has over this, actually, in my opinion, is that simple fact that you can see other buses, other coaches on the routes which you've put in. And not feel like you're the only coach or bus in existence. Would definitely make it feel more immersive and more realistic. 100%, I agree. You never know, maybe in the future they'll, I mean, I'm not going to go too far with it, but maybe in the future they decide to do something like that. You know, if they manage to, of course, get the game in somewhat of a standard that would be, you know, it would be able to cope. Because if you remember with Tourist Bus, the moment they started adding stuff like new buses, like DLCs and things, a lot of stuff started to go wrong. But either way, like I say, it's easy to sit here and nitpick, and I am terrible for it sometimes. Sometimes I can get myself a bit carried away with it, but generally, like, it's just my general perception of it is that, you know, how many busing games have you got to make before you at least get some of the elements right? You can't keep making the same mistakes over and over again, despite the fact that you may love the game or hate the game, whatever the case may be, you know. I'm not blinded by the fact that some of the tricks of their trade and some of the things that they've done and said to try and pull the wool over our eyes. You know, it hasn't really washed with me, to be completely honest. Like, even that, I respect the fact that even it's a nice entry for a simulation game for consoles. It's great, but it's still not, in my opinion, still not at an acceptable standard of a game that's been hyped up for months, and you know, all the things have kind of been hidden away, and none of the bugs which we're experiencing now were shown. You know, it's just general things like that. It's just been covered up to an extent to get people to buy it. And of course, we're sat here now. A lot of console players are sat there with steering wheels that you can't really use your force feedback with, so it kind of dulls your senses a little bit, and you've got functions and features within the game which don't work properly, which weren't shown in the you know, the upcoming videos before release date. There's just little things like that, or showing the Xbox Series S version in its worst possible quality, its worst possible state. You know, that to me was a giant red flag. There was so much which I went over in my streams about this before it even came to release, and I had my suspicions, and you know, now that we do have console release, I can gauge it, and you know, my suspicions were correct. You know, maybe not all of them, but some of the more predominant ones were correct. And you know, I'm like on a teeter with it as to whether, you know, they do fulfill what they've agreed to do, and it's done in a timely manner of where it's acceptable, not leaving us on a, you know, leaving us in limbo, in the dark, no communication, not telling us where the game's going or when we're going to receive the basic updates for the basic functionality, the basic functions of the games to work properly. We're talking like taking the brake option, falling through the map, things like that. It's stuff that really shouldn't be happening. You know, that's just my sort of penny's worth, if you will. You know. But I'm not going to take away from the fact that the game is enjoyable to play to some degree. But this is like where I say it's like early doors, you know. We've got these bugs within the console side of it, but if these things aren't addressed, they get progressively worse, and you know, a hairline fracture, it opens up a can of worms, and things get progressively worse over time if they're neglected. And Tourist Bus is a prime example. It has to be said. You know, I'm not going to be biased to a point of where I'm blinded by the fact that, you know, it's a new console port, and you know, it's Fernbus. You know, because at the end of the day, it's still TML, it's still Fabian. You know, those elements of it don't change. It's complex, especially when trying to discuss and talk about it. I don't know, maybe things, I'm looking at things maybe a little bit too simple. But then I don't understand the difficulty behind it. I mean, I'm no game developer, but like I said before, how many games have you got to make before you at least get the core elements right? In my humble opinion, it's very lazy developing. In a massive scale, a lot of stuff is copy and pasted, and you can see that, you know, transitioning from one game to the next. A lot of traits and attributes from games, and you know, from their games to their technical issues down to their buses, it's all the same stuff. It's just the handling's a bit different, you know. I mean, we've got to understand that even though, as much as we anticipated this coming to console, even though how much you may like the game, we've also got to keep in the back of our minds that these are the same people that delivered us, you know, or you know, how do I put it, hyped up on the road for us. You know, these are the same people that promised things for Tourist Bus that still haven't delivered. So you've got to take everything they say with a pinch of salt, unfortunately, or at least I do anyway, because it's very draining to invest your time in something that really, the things that are so simple, it could easily be fixed based on, you know, how many games they've produced. But they go down a rabbit hole, a typical route of getting a game to a point of where it's like almost an acceptable standard. A few things need addressing, they don't address them, it gets progressively worse over time, and then you're essentially left with a broken game that isn't fixed. You're sold stupidly overpriced DLC, and then you find out that they're making a new game. Or they're porting a new game over, or something stupid like that. Yeah, it doesn't change. They did the same thing with Tourist Bus, and now all of a sudden there's a bunch of bugs that need to be addressed with this game, and they're already talking about DLC. There we go. Continue. It's a bit random place to do it, but yeah, Rocky. I've heard things. I've heard things up and down. You know, it's so hard to gauge these days. You know, I mean, you got to understand from my perspective. I've got people telling me it's good, then it's bad, then it's good, then it's bad, and then I'm sat there like, in a minute, I'm gonna end up playing it myself just to see. Thing is, though, we all enjoy different things. We all have different standards. We all have different expectations of games. But it's okay as well to not like a game. It's okay to have constructive criticism against a game that others may enjoy, and vice versa. You know, some of the people in some of these groups, sorry to say it, but they need a slap. You know, to sit there and tell people that maybe busing simulators aren't for you, based on the fact that they just constructively criticised a game which was promised to be good anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's, they need a good old slap. But you guys will have to let me know down in the comments section what you generally think of the game as far, you know, and of course what experience you've had up until this point. You know, I mean, everyone knows where I stand with it, but you know, I'd like to know where you guys stand with it as well. What are we at? 37 kilometers. Not bad. Not bad. See, I can't imagine playing this game without force feedback. Well, I can to some degree because it's no different than Tourist Bus, but you know, that really needs to be sorted out. Hopefully they give us some information. You never know, maybe in this upcoming patch that's something that's been added. This is what I mean, they just don't tell you, and I'm not expecting any patch notes either, so fortunately it's gonna have to be in blind thing. I'm enjoying Fernbus so far. Nice one, Rocky. I was when you got any Got any favourite routes? Got any favourite places? What's the furthest journey that you've embarked on so far? I think somebody came into the stream the other day and said they were on a 36 hour drive or something. Which is just crazy. I mean, for me, an hour, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours tops, is enough. I can't sit there and do a 10-hour drive. It's just, no, I can't even do that with Euro Truck. So my legs start going dead after a while. Oh, gotta love it. But yeah, it's not a bad foundation, is it, for a console port, for a bus simulator at least. About 400 kilometers. Oh, that's pretty lengthy. That's pretty lengthy. But yeah, guys, like I say, I will try and keep you up to date as much as I can. Life is a bit up and down at the moment, so obviously I got to make the most of when I can stream. So you guys will probably find the information out before me anyway, but I'll still do a stream, I'll still make a video, you know, but essentially just keep that support coming. Like I say, if people don't like sort of interact with it, if people don't, you know, comment or leave things for me to kind of gauge upon, then it just tells me that people are no longer interested in the topic or subject matter. So I'll just go on to another thing. So like I say, guys, make sure that, you know, you do let me know. And of course, I think it was about 78% of you guys that watch these streams, these videos. I mean, I'm not one for analytics, but you know, it said that 79% of the people that actually watch these streams are unsubscribed. So like I say, guys, if you are interested in more content, you like the way that I do things here on the channel, please consider subscribing, because it does help me out an awful lot. Of course, this channel is grown more than, you know, my expectations, but of course, like I say, the likes, the comments and the subscriptions are definitely helping the channel out an awful lot. And like I say, those that have done it already, I thank you. I can't appreciate you guys enough, honestly. Discord link will be put in the description as well, or in the pinned comment. I'll pin it in the comment section. If you're interested in joining that, you know, we've got a little community going. It's a nice little place, you know. Of course, you know, you all know how Discords work, but you know, in there we've got a tab for busing, trucking, trains, planes, fishing, farming, you know, you name it. You know, just places to share your images, your hunting pictures, whatever, even your sim rigs, you know, just there to have a little conversation if you need help, or you've got any upcoming news of Fernbus or any other game for that matter. Just pop it in there. But yeah, frame rate is definitely something that needs to be improved upon. So have we got 2 kilometers? Perfect. I think we're going left. Yes, we are. Boom, boom. There we go. Not too bad, not too bad. But yeah, guys, like I say, I appreciate each and every one of you coming in. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. You know, I try and stream as best as I can when I can, you know, and you know, your support is fantastic, like I say. If you did enjoy it, please consider subscribing if you're new, leaving us a cheeky like, you know, all that good stuff. And of course, if there is any more information regarding Fernbus, tourist bus, or the bus for that matter, then I'll be sure to inform you and let you guys know as swiftly as I can. But I appreciate each and every one of you coming in. It's been an absolute pleasure. Until next time, you enjoy the rest of your evenings. You all stay safe, take it easy, and hopefully I'll catch you all in the next one. Take it easy.